Hello everyone and welcome to some MiSTer FPGA news. This week we will be talking about new arcade cores, a new OPL3 FM implementation for the AO486 core, TapTo project updates, and more. Also check out my channel sponsor MiSTer Add-ons, a place where you can get all your MiSTer needs, things like full MiSTer setups, I/O boards, accessories, and more. If you don't want to have two Genesis cores show up on your MiSTer menu, you have the option of filtering out the older core by using one line of code. In the downloader.ini file, you can either add a line to filter out the Genesis core, or you can add a line to filter out the Mega Drive core if you prefer the older one with some extra features that are not yet on the newer one. It is also possible to use more filters for other cores you don't want. If you want more information on how to customize your downloads on the MiSTer FPGA, check out the downloader GitHub. I will provide a link in the description. The Sega Saturn core has been updated to improve the following games: Andretti Racing, Discworld, Duke Nukem 3D, Shining Force 3, Alone in the Dark 2, Discworld 2, Worms, and X-Men vs. Street Fighter. In addition to improvements to those games, there's also been hardware updates to the VDP-1, VDP-2, SCU, and SMPC. Wizzo announced the release of a new app. Developed together with Tim Wilsey, it's called TapTo Life and offers several cool features related to the TapTo project. It allows you to write games to NFC tags so they can be used for launching games on the MiSTer FPGA by just a tap. It does this by executing a search you've made for a game and connecting to your TapTo-enabled MiSTer FPGA. Another awesome feature available is the ability to use your phone as an NFC reader to launch games. This is unlocked through an in-app purchase. So you are no longer required to purchase an NFC reader to use the TapTo project. You can just use your phone. Keep in mind that your phone must have NFC capabilities. The app is available for both Android and iOS and has been translated to Chinese, Korean, and French. The TapTo Online Label Designer also got a couple of new features. Now you can have multiple templates in the same print. For example, you can have a Game Boy, HuCard, and floppy template all in the same page. And if you want to make NES-themed NFC cards, the designer now has an NES template. There was also an update to the main TapTo server software. This release adds a new web API backend, TapTo UI improvements, exit game customizations, and native VHD support for the 0 MHz DOS collection. The AO486 core is going to get some upgraded sound. Mr. Walrus posted that thanks to Greg Taylor's reverse engineering efforts, the AO486 core will be getting a more accurate OPL3 FM sound implementation. This is what Greg Taylor says on GitHub. Every effort possible has been made to replicate bit true the math of the original OPL3 chip. Several other very smart people put in a lot of work before me to get as close as possible to this goal in software. And this FPGA design would not be possible without their work. Their efforts included delidding the chip to extract the actual values out of the ROMs and in-depth analysis of the math involved. You can already try this new implementation by downloading an unstable build of the AO486 core. Hans Bayer has received a new revision for the MiSTex baseboard. The revision now has an additional trace from the HPS to the RP2040 microcontroller. This will allow updating the RP2040 firmware from the HPS Linux system. There are also latching switches, and the MiSTex mascot is embedded onto the board. If you don't know what MiSTex is, it is a fork of MiSTer whose goal is to be able to run cores on different FPGA chips and hard processor systems. And if you want to help support the development of this project, Hans has a Patreon where you can show your support. All the proceeds will be used to fund additional developers to help port cores to the Xilinx FPGAs. Jotego's JT TMNT core is now available to the public. This core can run games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Missing in Action, and Punkshot. Jotego also added some new shooters to the JT House core. These new games are Dragon Spirit, Dragon Seed, Blast Off, and Pistol Daimyo. The JT House core is still in beta, so it's currently only available to Patreon subscribers. Anton Gale's Exidy Universal Game Board 2 core has been updated to support high score saves, so update your MiSTer now to add this new feature. Martin Donlin posted a to-do list that involves updates to the current M72 and M92 cores. It also has some notes regarding future releases for more IREM arcade hardware, the M90 and M107 hardware to be exact. Notable future updates to the current M72 and M92 cores are implementing a new CPU implementation for the M72. There also looks to be support for the Ken Go/Lightning Sword arcade game coming. This game is actually based on the M84 hardware. For the M92 core, upcoming updates are fixing high scores and adding DDR3 loading. There are also plans to release cores based on the IREM M90 and M107. According to System16.com, the M90 supports 2 games, an arcade version of Bomberman and a Mahjong game called Hasamu. And the M107 page shows 3 supported games, a vertical shooter called Fire Barrel and 2 soccer/football games, Dream Soccer 94 and World PK Soccer. So that's it for this episode. I provided links to all my sources in the description. Make sure to also check out RetroRGB.com to see my MiSTer News videos in blog form and to get more retro related content. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and its bell icon so you can get notified of future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.